Success doesn't hurt. Betrayal does, especially when it comes from family. Before starting the story, please subscribe and like the video and listen through end for chill. I grew our family business to $200 million, but inside my own family, I was invisible. People love success stories. They love the headlines, the revenue numbers, the polished interviews. What they don't love talking about is the quiet cost, the years you lose, the relationships that rot, the way success can turn family into strangers who feel entitled to your sacrifice. I learned that the hard way. When my father founded our manufacturing business, it was small, fragile, and held together by stubborn pride. A single warehouse, 3 outdated machines, 12 employees who stayed more out of loyalty than pay. I joined straight out of college, not because I wanted to, but because someone had to. Bills were overdue, vendors were threatening lawsuits, payroll bounced twice in 1 month. My sister, Lauren, never saw any of that. She was already living in another world. Social events, brand name clothes, friends who assumed wealth we didn't yet have. To them, we were business owners, not a family one bad quarter away from collapse. From day one, I became the person who fixed things. I learned logistics because no one else would. I learned finance because we couldn't afford a CFO. I learned negotiation because suppliers smelt weakness. I worked 18-hour days, slept in my car, missed weddings, birthdays, and holidays because the shipment has to go out or the bank meeting can't wait. No one clapped. Lauren visited once a week, usually on Fridays, always dressed like the office was a photo shoot. She'd wander through, say things like, "We should really think about brand perception," then leave early for lunch with friends. My parents praised her confidence. They praised her vision. I was just dependable. By year 5, I'd completely restructured the company. New systems, new suppliers, new international clients. Profits stabilized. Then they grew. 10 million in revenue, then 30, then 50. The family dinners changed. Better wine, better restaurants. Lauren started introducing herself as a company executive. I still didn't have a title. By year 10, we crossed $100 million. Industry magazines called me a strategic genius. Investors asked for my opinion in meetings. Employees came to me with problems. At home, I was still helping out. That should have been my warning. The night of the gala was supposed to feel like victory. Black tie attire, crystal chandeliers, a banner reading $200 million and growing. My parents were emotional. My mother hugged me and said, "Look how far we've come." Lauren wore a designer dress and practiced her speech in the mirror. When she took the stage, everyone listened. She talked about family, legacy, leadership. Then she laughed lightly and said, "Of course, success is a team effort, though not everyone contributes in visible ways." Some people chuckled. Then she looked straight at me. "And honestly," she added, "without our father's name, some people here would be pretty worthless." The word hung in the air. Worthless. I waited for someone to object, for my father to say something, for the board to shut it down. No one did. That was the moment something inside me went silent. I smiled. I applauded. I sat down. That night, I didn't confront anyone. I did something far more dangerous. I started preparing to leave. Lauren thought she'd humiliated me. She had no idea I was already planning the day she'd need me, and I wouldn't be there. She called me worthless. What I did the next morning made the board panic. People assume revenge looks loud. It doesn't. Real power moves are quiet, documented, legal. While everyone slept off champagne and applause, I sat at my desk reviewing agreements I drafted over the years, agreements no one else had bothered to read. See, every expansion deal, every international contract, every operational systems upgrade had been run through a management entity I controlled. At the time, it was efficient. No one questioned it. They trusted me. At 8:47 a.m., I sent one email. Operational transition effective immediately. No accusations, no emotion, just facts. By 10 a.m., production lines stalled. By noon, suppliers started calling executives instead of my team and realized no one else knew what to do. By 2 p.m., Lauren was pacing the lobby, demanding to know where I was. At 4 p.m., the board called an emergency meeting. At 6 p.m., my father finally reached me. "What's going on?" he asked, his voice shaky. "I'm stepping away," I said calmly. "Everything I built goes with me." Silence. Lauren grabbed the phone. "You're being dramatic. You need this company." I corrected her. No, this company needed me. The next few days were chaos. Investors froze funding. Clients delayed contracts. Projections collapsed. The board realized too late that the backbone of the business wasn't a logo or a family name. It was me. They offered me a title, then equity, then apologies. My parents cried. The board begged. Lauren said nothing until she cornered me privately. "You're ruining everything. Do you know what this does to me?" I looked at her and finally said what I'd swallowed for 15 years. "I know exactly what it does to you. That's why I'm doing it." I didn't destroy the company. I let it operate without me. And that's when everyone learned the difference between ownership and entitlement. They thought I'd come back. Instead, I started something that made them realize just how replaceable they weren't. The company survived, but my sister never recovered. 6 months after I walked away, I launched my own firm. Same industry, same clients, same systems. Only this time, no one questioned my authority. People followed me, not out of loyalty to a name, but trust in results. My new company grew faster than the family business ever had. Meanwhile, theirs shrank, not dramatically, not scandalously, just enough to expose the truth. Lauren lost her title, then her office, then her influence. She tried to pivot into consulting. No one hired her. She tried to rebrand online. Engagement disappeared. For the first time in her life, she had to build something from nothing. She called me once. "I don't know what I'm supposed to do," she admitted quietly. I told her the same thing no one ever told me. You figure it out. Today, my parents speak carefully around me. They finally understand value, but too late to repair trust. The family business still exists, smaller, humbled, real. As for me, I stopped chasing validation from people who only loved the benefits of my work. Because the hardest lesson success teaches is this: if they only respect you when you're useful, they never respected you at all. I didn't destroy them. I let them collapse under the truth. I didn't leave out anger. That's what they never understood. Anger burns fast. It makes mistakes. What I felt was colder than that: clarity. The moment Lauren called me worthless in front of investors and board members, something snapped cleanly into place. I finally saw my role for what it was. I wasn't family. I was infrastructure, and infrastructure only matters when it fails. So instead of exploding, I started documenting. Every decision I ever made that saved the company, every risk I'd absorbed so others could look confident, every email where Lauren took credit for work she didn't understand. I didn't leak anything. Not yet. I waited. When I stepped away, the company didn't collapse immediately. That would have been too easy, too ghastly. Instead, it stumbled. Small delays, minor miscalculations, confused leadership decisions, the kind outsiders chalk up to market conditions. Inside the boardroom, panic grew. Lauren tried to fill the vacuum. She held meetings full of buzzwords and empty confidence. She approved campaigns without understanding supply chains. She promised timelines that couldn't exist without the systems I'd built, systems she never bothered to learn. Employees started leaving, not dramatically, quietly. 1 resignation became 3. 3 became 10. I hired some of them. I didn't poach aggressively. I didn't need to. People follow competence when fear replaces leadership. Then came the audits. See, when growth stalls, investors ask questions, and questions demand documentation. That's when my records surfaced. Side-by-side comparisons, revenue curves before my involvement, operational maps showing exactly where decisions originated. My name appeared everywhere. Lauren's appeared mostly in email signatures. No one accused her publicly. They didn't need to. They simply stopped listening. The board didn't remove her outright. That would have caused headlines. Instead, they began excluding her. Meetings without her, decisions finalized before she arrived, information given late or not at all. She noticed. One night, she called me drunk. "I didn't know it was all you," she said. "They look at me like I'm nothing." The irony didn't escape me. I said nothing. Then I did the thing that finally broke her. I published. Not a tell-all, not an attack, a case study. Anonymized, professional, calm. It detailed how a mid-sized manufacturing firm scaled to $200 million, outlining systems, leadership principles, and execution strategies. Industry insiders knew immediately. The article went viral in business circles. Panels invited me to speak. Podcasts quoted me. Investors shared it privately. And every time someone asked, "Why did you leave?" I answered truthfully. I outgrew the culture. That sentence haunted them more than any accusation could have, because culture is inherited, and toxic cultures don't die quietly. Lauren tried to reclaim relevance. She pitched herself as the visionary sister. She rebranded on LinkedIn. She posted motivational quotes about resilience and leadership. The comments were polite. The silence was loud. Eventually, the board removed her title. No announcement, no explanation, just an updated org chart. She went from vice president to advisor, then from advisor to consultant, then nothing at all. The family business survived, but stripped of illusion. Margins thinner, expansion frozen, ambition cautious. My company? It thrived because I built it without entitlement, without people who mistook proximity for competence. The last time I saw Lauren was at a family gathering she didn't know I'd attend. She looked smaller somehow, not poorer, just exposed. She didn't insult me. She didn't smile. She asked quietly, "Do you think I was ever actually good at any of it?" That was the moment I understood the real revenge. I hadn't taken her money. I hadn't taken her status. I'd taken the lie she lived inside, and without it, she had no idea who she was. I answered honestly, "I think you were protected from finding out." She nodded slowly, like someone accepting a diagnosis. I left early, because I didn't need closure. I had something better. Peace built on truth. The most devastating revenge isn't punishment. It's removing the illusion that kept someone comfortable and letting reality do the rest. I didn't take her life apart. I let her watch it lose meaning. People imagine revenge as something you do to someone. They're wrong. The most damaging revenge is what happens when you stop protecting someone from themselves. Lauren didn't collapse all at once. She unraveled in layers. At first, she told herself the board's distance was temporary, a misunderstanding, a phase. She doubled down on confidence, louder meetings, sharper outfits, forced laughter. But confidence without competence sounds hollow. People began responding differently. Not hostile, not angry, just neutral. Emails grew shorter. Replies came slower. Invitations stopped arriving. No one challenged her ideas anymore. They simply ignored them. That silence did more damage than public humiliation ever could. She started over-explaining. In meetings, she talked too much, filling the room with words that landed nowhere. She watched eyes glaze over, watched executives glance at their phones while she spoke. That was new. Lauren had always been listened to. Now she was endured. At home, she obsessed over analytics, LinkedIn views, post impressions, profile searches. She refreshed constantly, searching for proof she still mattered. The numbers declined anyway, not dramatically, just enough to feel personal. She called mutual contacts, fishing for reassurance. Did you see my latest post? Do you think the brand direction still works? People still respect me, right? The pauses before their answers grew longer. She began rewriting history, telling herself she'd been the face of the company, the energy, the glue. She told friends I'd been technical support, replaceable. But every time she said it out loud, it sounded less convincing. Meanwhile, my presence haunted the building, not physically, symbolically. People referenced systems I'd built, processes I'd designed, decisions I'd made years earlier that still shaped outcomes. My absence wasn't empty, it was loud. Lauren started dreaming about me. Not confrontations, not arguments, just me sitting silently across a table while she talked and talked and talked, and I never responded. She woke up sweating. The board eventually stopped pretending. They didn't fire her. They did something worse. They removed her context. Her calendar emptied, her budget vanished, her access narrowed. She still came to the office. She just had nowhere to go. No one asked her opinion. No one looped her in. She became a ghost with a title. People nodded politely and passed by. One afternoon, she overheard two junior managers debating a strategy she'd publicly claimed credit for years earlier. Neither mentioned her. She interrupted them. "I was actually involved in that rollout," she said, forcing a smile. They froze. Then one said gently, "Oh, I didn't know." That sentence destroyed her more thoroughly than any insult ever could. I didn't know. She began doubting her own memories. Was she actually important or just present? Had she led anything or simply spoken near people who did? At night, she replayed moments from the past, searching for evidence of value. All she found was proximity. She finally confronted me again. Not angrily, not dramatically, quietly. "I think people think you were everything," she said. I didn't deny it. That was the cruelty of the truth. It didn't need defending. "I don't know who I am without this," she admitted. And there it was, the core wound. Lauren hadn't lost a company. She'd lost an identity that had never been hers to begin with. I didn't tell her she'd be okay. I didn't offer guidance. I did what no one had ever done for me. I let her sit in uncertainty. Months later, she quit. Not in protest, not in defiance, in exhaustion. Her farewell email was short, vague, forgettable. No one replied all. She tried to reinvent herself. Consultant, influencer, speaker. But reinvention requires substance, and for the first time in her life, she had none to borrow. The world didn't attack her. It simply didn't respond. And that, the indifference, hollowed her out. The last thing she said to me wasn't anger. It was fear. "I don't think I was ever actually real." I didn't answer, because sometimes the most devastating realization isn't failure. It's understanding you were carried your entire life and never learned how to stand. Some people don't break when they lose everything. They break when they realize they never built anything at all. She didn't lose everything. She lost the ability to know who she was. Lauren didn't realize she was unraveling. At first, she thought everyone else was changing. The office felt colder. Voices dropped when she walked by. Conversations ended mid-sentence. She told herself it was stress, restructuring, market pressure, anything but the truth. She still dressed the same, sharp, intentional, expensive. But now the clothes felt like a costume she was afraid to remove. When she looked in the mirror, she adjusted details obsessively. Earrings, hair, lipstick. If she looked right, maybe she was right. She started narrating her own importance out loud. On calls, she'd say things like, "As you know, I've always been closely involved in this strategy." No one corrected her. They just didn't respond. Silence became her enemy. She began scanning faces for signs, a nod, a raised eyebrow, anything that suggested recognition. When she didn't find it, her mind filled in the gaps. They're talking about me. They've decided I'm irrelevant. They're testing how long I'll last. Paranoia doesn't announce itself. It whispers. She reread emails multiple times, analyzing tone. Short replies felt dismissive. Long ones felt patronizing. She started drafting responses she never sent, paragraphs explaining herself, justifying her presence, proving value no one had asked for. At night, she replayed meetings in her head, dissecting every moment she spoke. Why did they look away then? Why didn't anyone ask a follow-up question? She searched internal documents for her name. It appeared less and less. When it did appear, it felt accidental. She stopped sleeping. At 3 a.m., she scrolled through old photos, conferences, events, smiling faces beside her. Proof she once mattered. Proof she wasn't imagining it all. But the images started to feel staged, like she'd been standing near importance, not inside it. She tried confronting people indirectly. Not directly, indirectly. "So, how do you think I'm doing?" she asked a senior manager one afternoon, smiling too tightly. He hesitated. "That's hard to say." That pause echoed louder than an insult ever could. Her paranoia sharpened. She convinced herself people were deliberately excluding her to punish her. For what? She wasn't sure. She rewrote history in her head, moments where she might have offended someone, misstepped, failed to assert authority. She blamed me. Not angrily. Obsession replaces anger when the mind needs a focus. She monitored my success obsessively. My interviews, my speaking engagements, my company's growth. Every headline felt like a personal accusation. He's replacing me everywhere. He's erasing me. He planned this. She imagined conversations happening without her, people laughing about how little she actually did. She pictured rooms where her name came up only as an afterthought. Or worse? Not at all. That terrified her, because erasure is worse than hatred. Eventually, she stopped going to the office every day. She told herself she worked better remotely. In truth, she couldn't bear the walk from the elevator to her desk, the way no one looked up anymore. Her desk remained untouched. No new files, no new responsibilities. She sat at home refreshing job listings she didn't apply to, convinced she was overqualified, a lie that protected her from rejection. She stopped answering friends' messages. What would she say? "I don't know what I do anymore?" Her phone grew quiet. Days passed without notifications. She began talking to herself, narrating thoughts out loud just to hear a voice respond. Sometimes she rehearsed conversations that would never happen, apologies she'd never receive, recognition that would never come. She questioned her own memories. Had she actually led meetings or just attended them? Had people ever relied on her or just tolerated her presence? She couldn't tell anymore. That's when identity truly collapsed, when the past becomes unreliable. One night, she opened an old notebook from years earlier, filled with goals, affirmations, confident declarations of who she was going to be. She didn't recognize the handwriting. It felt like reading a stranger's diary. She finally resigned, not with anger, not with dignity, with relief. Relief that she no longer had to pretend. No farewell party, no goodbye emails worth reading. The office didn't mourn her absence. It adapted. That realization broke something permanent inside her. She tried to rebuild. New labels, new bios, new introductions. But every time someone asked, "So what do you do?" her mind went blank. Not because she lacked answers, because none of them felt true. She drifted. Social circles shrank, days blurred. Weeks passed without structure. Without a role, she discovered something terrifying. She didn't know how to exist without being seen. The last time she spoke to me, she didn't accuse. She asked quietly, almost childlike, "How did you know who you were without anyone telling you?" I answered honestly, "I didn't. I built it, alone." She nodded, like someone realizing the work had already passed them by. And that was the end. Not with punishment, not with forgiveness, with isolation. Some people don't fear losing success. They fear discovering they were never anything without it. If that story gave you chills, drop a like, subscribe, and comment so I know you made it to the end. I've got another one. See you then.